completing the square. This question, we are asked to put this quadratic expression into this form. So the first thing I'll do is write down the question. So I have 1x squared plus 6x plus 7, all right? I tell students, make sure you have x squared first, x second, constant last. You want it in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. That is the quadratic expression, all right? The next thing I tell students to look out for is check the number in front of x squared or the coefficient of x squared. Make sure it's positive 1, not negative 1, not 2, not any other number. Make sure it's plus 1. So we have the number in front of x squared or the coefficient of x squared being plus 1. So once that happens, we start putting it in form, right? We start making it resemble what's going on here. So let me show you, put our x, leave a little space, close bracket squared. So starting putting it in form after we know, okay, the coefficient of x squared is plus 1. If we open brackets, x, leave a little space, close brackets, squared, whatever is your constant, you write it back. If here was negative 10, you put negative 10 here. If here was a half, plus a half, you put plus a half here. So whatever is your constant, you put it outside of the brackets, right? Now, once this is done, we are applying 3 steps. 3, right? So step 1 states multiply the number in front of x by a half, right? So the coefficient of x, or simply the number in front of x, multiply the number in front of x by a half. So we have, so the number in front of x is plus 6, we multiply that by a half. This is step 1. Step 2, put a minus sign. So after the constant, we put a minus sign. This is step 2. Step 3, we are going to square step 1. So step 3 simply is plus 6 times a half squared, right? This is step 3. So let me go over. Once you put it in form, which is in the red, step 1, you multiply the number in front of x by a half. So the number in front of x is 6. Not the number in front of x squared, the number in front of x, which is plus 6. We have plus 6 times a half. Step 2, put a minus sign after the constant. So we are putting minus sign here. Step 3, square step 1. So step 3, you're squaring whatever is in blue here. So we introduce plus 6 times a half. So it's plus 6 times a half squared. After this, it's elementary work. All you're doing is simplifying, it's computation. So we're going to continue with this. We're going to say x plus 3 squared plus 7 minus 3 squared. All right, so 6 times a half is 3. So we're writing back everything. 6 times a half is 3 plus 7 minus 6 times a half is 3. Remember, it's to the power 2, so 3 squared. Now we continue and we have x plus 3 squared plus 7 minus 9. 3 squared is 9. So our final answer is this, right? So we have x plus 3 squared minus 2. So if you have e, x plus h plus k, e is equal to 1, h is equal to plus 3, and k is equal to negative 2. So we have a is equal to 1, h is equal to plus 3, k is equal to negative 2. Remember to take the sign in front of the number. K is not equal to 2, it's equal to negative 2. H is equal to plus 3, and it's understood that you have a 1 in front here, right? There's a 1 in front of there, it's understood. So that's it for number 1. So number 1 was straightforward because the coefficient of x squared is 1. What if the coefficient of x squared is another number or it's negative? So if we take a look at question 2, all right, so question 2, we have negative 2x squared plus 4x plus 10, and we have to put it in the same form, all right? So the first thing I'll do is write down my quadratic expression. And I'm going to apply the same steps as above, all right? So I'm going to make sure we have x squared first, x second, constant last, quadratic expression, ax squared plus bx plus c. I'm checking the number in front of x squared. The number in front of x squared is not plus 1. So whatever number is in front of x squared, if it's not positive 1, we divide in everything by that number. So in this case, it's -2, so we're going to divide every single thing by -2. We're going to divide each term by -2. So I'm going to put -2 outside. I would have 1x squared minus 2x minus 5. All right, so let me deal with that. Whatever number is in front of x squared, once it's not positive 1, we divide in every term by it, each term. So this is, in this case, is -2. If it was 3, 3 would have been out here. All right, and we'd have divided everything by 3. But in this case, it's -2. So we have, when you divide in two same signs, is a positive. 2 into 2 is 1. Dividing different signs is a negative. 2 into 4 is 2. Put back x. In this case, we put back our x squared. We divide into different signs. -2 into 10 is 5. Simple. Now we have our +1 inside of here. We have our +1 inside of here. So we're going to deal with this now. This here is just like what we did above. So let's deal with it. We're going to start putting this into the form, into this form here. But we must rewrite everything else. What's outside the brackets? The number and the square brackets, we must rewrite that. So we have -2. We're going to start putting it in form. We have our x, leave a space, squared, put back our constant, leave a little space again, close bracket. So we put back our -2, open square bracket. We're going to start putting this in form. So we have our open bracket, x, leave a little space, close bracket squared. Whatever constant we have here, in this case is -5, we write it back, leave a little space, close square brackets. Put back here, close square brackets. All right, so we're going to apply step 1. Step 1 is to multiply the number in front of x by 1/2. So the number in front of x here is -2. So step 1, we multiply -2 by 1/2. Step 2, this is step 1. Step 2, put a negative sign, right, after the constant. Step 2. Step 3, we square step 1. Step 1 is -2 times 1/2. That is what we square. So this is step 3. Step 1, multiply the coefficient of x, or the number in front of x, by 1/2. Step 2, put a negative sign. Step 3, square step 1. So we did that. Once we did all of that, everything is just elementary. We just simplifying computation. So we have -2 all right. -2 times 1/2 is -1. Put back everything else. And we have -1 in a bracket here, squared. Continuing. All right, so -1 squared is 1. All right, so that's how we have negative. And when you square what's in the bracket, you get +1. That's how we have 1 here. Continuing. All right, so -5 minus 1 is -6. Now we have to take this -2 and multiply by each term in the bracket. Remember, initially we divided everything by -2. So we have to multiply it into the brackets, all right? We have to expand this bracket here. This square bracket here means multiplication. So we have -2 times 1 is -2. And -2 times -6. So when we're multiplying same signs, it's a positive. 2 times 6 is 12. So A is equal to -2, H is equal to -1, and K is equal to +12. Let me write that 12 a little better than that. All right. So once you understand the steps, completing the square is very easy. All right. There are a number of ways to do it. This method, I find it's the easiest method, the easiest way to look at it. And once you apply these steps correctly, there's no way you can get it wrong. Doesn't matter how the question comes, whether you have fractions or not, whether you have negative signs, positive numbers, doesn't matter. Once you apply these steps, it should work out. So that's it for completing the square.